Good evening, everyone, and we are going to be, what was the word? We are going to be innovative tonight. The time may come
I'll let
when
you know, and then I'll let you guys know.
things and we'll be able to
All right.
get
Okay, thanks for inviting us.
here. But I know that people online can hear me. That's a blessing. And so we know also that our treasurer is online, and whereas we were going to have a financial statement first, you're getting a physical copy, those of you who are here, and eventually we're hoping that we can have Lisa Bailey, our treasurer, present on the financial piece. I think it would be a good idea to, first of all, say welcome to all of those in the room and those online. And I also, we have on the agenda that we're going to start with a song. We actually we started with prayer because we had to have that delicious little meal to begin with, and so the food was blessed. But one of the things that we're doing tonight that we have not done ever before at HAAC AGM is to have someone provide us with an opening song. And we could use some music to soothe ourselves right now. Both those online and with us in person. And so I am going to call you up, and I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, or maybe actually Sister Rose. Sister Rose, because this was Sister Rose's idea. She wanted very much for you to be here this evening. So Sister Rose, could you come up and introduce our lovely songstress?
It's great to see everybody and be in one space together. That's awesome, that didn't see online. Hi, people online, how are you? So I'm going to introduce Adina Fraser, and Adina is a wonderful, wonderful singer, and she is a student at Mount St. Vincent currently. She's in her second year. First year she did at Haiti University, and she was studying music. This year she's moved to Mount St. Vincent in second year psychology. She started playing very young. She was in a band, school band, and she's part of a group called Los Primos Preston Los Primos. And so she's great. And so she's gifted, she's beautiful, she is a very gentle spirit, and she's our niece. I think it's crazy.
I'll just make sure everybody is here from here. Is it possible to do
Yeah, that was just to help people. We all need up with like. All right, thank you.
My name is Adina Fraser, and I'm very grateful to be performing here today. The first song I'll be singing is the River of Song Free. It's by When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eyes. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You glow like a feather. A beautiful world. You're so very special. I wish I was special. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What am I doing here? I don't belong here. I don't care if it hurts. I wanna have control. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. I want you to notice when I'm not around. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Ooh, she's running around again. Ooh, she's running down, she runs, 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 runs. What am I doing? I don't belong here. Whatever makes you happy, whatever you want. You're so very special. I wish I was special, but I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What am I doing? I don't belong here. I don't belong
Should I just go off and try to give a verbal? Well, that was a good idea. We're gonna do that every year. Thank you, Sister Rose. Brought my anxiety down a bit as well. And so thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we're flying by the seat of our pants, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to present verbally because we are at least everyone will be able to hear me here and online, and they just won't be able to see the slides. And the slides look good. I think we'll just move on. And my co-president, Donna Darrow, is online from Yarmouth. She is in Yarmouth this evening, and because we had a hybrid, it was possible for people to be wherever they were, and so it worked out like that. I don't know if someone can get Donna on phone to speak. Maybe we'll at some point we'll be able to do that. But I will just start with the presentation. So with this, I think it's important always to go back to our history as an organization. Some of you are new to HAAC this evening. Some of you have been here a very long time with us on our journey. But all of us need to honor the fact that we are now 23 years old as an organization. Yeah, we survived. What is that? Gloria, is it Gloria Gator? I survived. Yeah. All right. So we in 2000 began with a membership of merely 20, and with our founding members. And I always want to give tribute to our founding members. We've got to do that. That's the right thing to do. So I was one of 5 women who began HAAC, and we did it in various rooms in various homes, probably my home quite often. And included in this group, of course, is the first female Black MLA in this province, Yvonne Atwell, Sister Yvonne Atwell. She's probably online. Credit to her, and she was one of our founding members. So as well, along with Yvonne and myself, was Dr. Josephine Atawa, who is now a professor of nursing at the University of Ottawa. She has been named as one of the top 10 immigrants under Justin Trudeau. And so, you know, she has just an amazing background and all kinds of attributes, all kinds of work that she has contributed as a researcher. And indeed, she started out at IWK as a nurse and a midwife, originally from Nigeria. So that is Dr. Atawa. And she may now be online too. And then, of course, the late, great Fran Harper, our heart. And those of you who remember Fran know that there couldn't have been a kinder, more gentle, and loving woman. And she was there with Dr. Josephine at the IWK, looking at the system and saying something better has to happen for us and for our people. And together they talked, and I was with government at the time, so we had people in with the Atlantic Center of Excellence for Women's Health. That would be where Sister Yvonne Atwell was. She's had an amazing career in all different kinds of things as well. And then we would have had Fran and Dr. Josephine at IWK, and then Sue Edmonds, who was a psychiatric nurse, for those of you in mental health, And Sue was carrying the world, doing her thing, one of very few, if not the only one, doing what she did. And so she and Fran were friends, and they were friends with Joe, and then they were friends with me, and then I was friends with and the sister said, "It is time," and we were born. So that is who we were at that time. Now, let's fast forward 23 years. We have a membership of over 80 and growing. And guess what? They pay too. They pay. So we have some income for the first time, significant income from our membership. And we have been involved in many, many initiatives across the spectrum of research, partnerships, policy leadership and development, and too many health projects for me to name. But if there was a health project, somehow HAAC is either connected to it or will be connected to it. That's just how it is. And our vision is thriving, healthy African Canadian communities in Nova Scotia. Our vision to promote and improve the health of African Canadians in Nova Scotia through community engagement, education, policy recommendations, partnerships, and research participation. That's not new to any of you, I am sure. Our organizational enhancements have grown significantly over the last year. We now have a fully funded administrative coordinator in our Carla Cruz. Carrying the heavy ball for many years with IT appropriate acknowledgement and appropriate funding. So we are so pleased to be in a position to do that, do right by her. And we also have, we've had the blessing of Kate, who's probably running around doing something to help us right now. But young Kate came to us as an intern last year. Her choice, she wanted to work with us, and we grabbed her up, and now she is working part-time for us, and she kind of offsets. There she is. Hello, Kate. There she is, still working, And Kate helps us and is able to offset some of that workload that our administrative coordinator has. She's also very, very techy. So there you go. And I love you, Kate. I'm telling you, we're very happy to have you with us. And soon we will be posting for a part-time executive director. Now, yeah, and those of us who have been co-presidents and who are co-presidents can tell you that we have been the de facto executive directors for some time. We could use a little help from our friends. So we, this year, are going with a part-time, and here's why. Because the way that this was set up was that our treasurer was to go first, but our treasurer is online, so we're hoping that he'll go after me. I don't want to take his steal his thunder. But those of you on the board already know this, and I might as well tell you that for the first time in the history of this organization, 23 years old, we have received 1 year of operational funding from the government of 1 year. And so, as you are, you got someone to hold on to. So we figured we would have part-time executive director for 1 year and 2 years. Spread that out, and then they will learn the job absolutely great. When we get them closing, they work like but that is that we are right now, is that we are writing that job description. And we hope to have somebody in place as soon as it is possible, because this girl wants a summer off. And those who are coming and those who are leaving know exactly what I'm talking about. We have retained a bookkeeper as well in the last year, so that our accounts are, in order. We never had that kind of trouble at HAAC, thank goodness. We always had very, very diligent people. And my sister and co-president, Donna Smith-Darrell, she will tell you right now, she doesn't mess around. She knows where every penny is going, and if you want to be extravagant, she's going to call you on it and tell you, no, we can't afford that. Until we have the money for sure, we can't say yes to that. So we've been very good with money, and now when we have a little more, we also have a very good treasurer and a bookkeeper making it taking care of business. We also have an application for charitable status in final process. So what that means, of course, is that people can donate to HAAC and file their tax receipt. And with that, we're hoping that we can also become more financially strong. So hopefully that makes sense to you all, and you would be in agreement. I don't know. Is it something I said? All right. I'm going to keep going until something stops. Okay. So strategic partnerships, I wanted to share with you. Sister Donna, is Sister Donna able to be heard at this point? No, not quite yet. Not quite yet, right? No. Just say no. I don't know. Okay. All right, so let's talk about strategic partnerships. We certainly have had all the time that HAAC has been in place. We've had strategic partnerships with a number of players in the health system. What used to be the Nova Scotia Health Authority used to be what was the old language about district health authorities? We had district health authorities, and 9 of them. We once had 6 zones, then we had 9 district health authorities, now we have 1 authority, and it's not called an authority, it's called Nova Scotia Health. So keep up, man, you gotta keep up, right? So, but our partnership with them has borne many things. We were certainly at the founding and basically the motivator for the Nova Scotia Brotherhood. When I was in government and people at HAAC brought the guys from the south side of Chicago here, which was the beginning of the Brotherhood, Nova Scotia Sisterhood. We all know we were at a speaking event and we talked about that. Our connection to mental health, our connection to primary health care, our connection to acute care, our connection to continuing care. And this year, we're continuing care is going to look like this for HAAC. They are doing recognition of prior learning for CCAs, and they want us to be key partners in that, and we've agreed to do that because we want to see our people who are CCAs be recognized for what they bring, but also to be paid well. And so we want to be at that table for that conversation. When we think about other strategic partnerships, Nova Scotia Department of Health and Wellness, of course, you all are aware of the COVID-19 initiative. We have been on the front lines of that, and many of you have been involved. I'm looking at Brother Archie, he's like, oh, how long, and sending out messages and supporting people, and everything from food packages through gardening support, through online information and so on. We have done it throughout this pandemic, and that is part of our strategic partnership with public health and with Nova Scotia Health. Recent health data, we've all been, many of you have been in this very room when we wrapped up that work, and we are waiting for government to do it right, but to do it. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Work around policy advice. If my co-president and I don't have to answer an email one day, it would be a miracle. Can you tell us, what do you think about this? Can you give us advice on that? Can your board give us advice on something else? Every single day. And that's good. But, you know, fund us, support us, hear us when we're giving you advice, right? And so we're definitely gonna be being persistent and being expected to be treated with respect and to be heard. Indeed, committee participation, as I talked about with CCA and many other committees, we are part of the ANS Decade of People of African Descent Coalition. I sit as the Health Services Working Group Chair for that, and of course we are in the process in a collaborative way with many academics, with ABSW, with HAAC, and I'm just having a blank. Come on, Sister Rhonda, IPH. IHP. No. I'm thinking of Dalhousie and anyway. Sister, oh my goodness. Sister, you just acted at the right time.
HPI.
I was just saying about how we were collaborating on the International Black Health Anniversary, which will take place on October the 6th to the 8th in Halifax. And indeed, there are many other players as well, not just those three. There's also government, there's also business, there's many, and we're looking for funding too.
Donna can be heard now.
But, pardon?
Donna can be heard.
Donna can be heard. Donna Smith Darrell, I'm going to finish this slide and leave the rest to you, sister. Can you say hello? Hello?
Oh, wait, I gotta turn the volume on.
Sister Donna? Okay. Oh, we did. Okay. So, and then indeed, health organizations, we have strategic partnerships with IWK, that's here in Nova Scotia, Alzheimer's Society of Nova Scotia. Kirsty is here, and she is now a full-fledged member, because we do that. We say, okay, you want to work with us? Join us, please. And I'm so happy to have this relationship with you. And then many national organizations too, the Black Opportunity Fund, the Black Health Alliance, Dr. Omi Sheree, she is connected to more national committees. And I tell you, we said, if she comes in the next week, you know, another week, and she'll say, oh, we should be part of it. I'm like, yeah. So we are connected nationally. I'm going to share that we might even be connected internationally. Okay, so we are doing our thing. We have lots and lots of strategic partners, and with the academic centers, of course. And Dow stands out because we have a long-standing relationship with the plans, which is, of course, I'm not going to say it because I'm just going to have a brain fog. Promoting leadership in African Nova Scotia. I told you I need my friends. And you have an event
Tomorrow, Claude Armstrong,
yes.
long-standing resident of Toronto, Nova Scotia, is presenting tomorrow. He's a anesthesiologist in Western, so he's going tomorrow at Well, I don't know.
And I just need to say, he's my cousin. He honestly is. He honestly is my cousin. So if you wonder if we were connected, yes, no. He is my cousin. He is the son of Dr. Jack Armstrong and Mrs. Margaret Armstrong from Truro, who you all may know, right? And so yeah, just saying. So indeed, we have all of these strategic partnerships and we are very proud of them and we value them greatly. And Sister Donna, anytime that you can be heard, speak up and we will hear you, okay? Wanted to talk about examples of research areas. Again, you all are, many of you are familiar with this. We have cardiovascular care improvement in Weston Township. It's not online. Preventative health screening, I don't know that. Preventative health screening with Cancer Care Nova Scotia. Mental health and addictions with Nova Scotia Health, with DPAD, with the North End Community Health Center, and Corrections Canada. And indeed, we talked about COVID-19. So, having said all of that, moving forward, let's talk about that very quickly. Nova Scotia Sisterhood Initiative, we need it to be operational. We have brothers and sisters here who are going to help make that happen, who will lead that, and we will be standing beside them to make that happen. Health data collection equitably and collaboratively moving forward. Strengthening our regional support. We have people who are our members in Cape Breton, in Yarmouth, and all points in between. Do we need more? Absolutely. And do we hear what they're telling us when they say we are not adequately represented? We haven't captured our issues the way that we need to. We hear you. And we need to build that. And so moving forward, that's one of the things that we're going to focus on. And advocating for that multi-year operational funding so that we can be stronger and we can have staff and we can have work that is appropriately funded in this province. And I have something really, really wonderful to share with you at this point, and that is that beginning this year, let me just say, let me backtrack and say, last year we had scholarships. We had 2 HAAC scholarships for students who were doing whatever they wanted to do in the health profession. And we were able to provide a little bit of money, wasn't a ton, that's okay. It helped with books and we wanted to be part of supporting young people coming along, or doesn't have to be young people, people who want to do work in the health profession. And last year we also lost one of our former co-presidents and a very special woman from Cape Breton. And that is Reverend Mother Phyllis Marsh Jarvis. This year we are decided to have annualized scholarships in her memory. I'm filled up and very proud to be able to say that the Reverend Mother Phyllis Marsh Jarvis Scholarship Fund from HAAC is born tonight and will continue for as long as any of us are breathing, which should be a very, very long time. So with that, I will just tell you that 2022 has been a year of substantial growth. We have grown further in reach and responsibility. We have a full board. You're going to hear about the full board tonight, 15, with talent from all backgrounds, strengths, and interests. We are now recognized as a center of excellence, health system expert, and a policy and project leader. We are in a position of financial strength for the first time in our history. And we will embrace new opportunities. Many are going to come, but we will keep faithful to our vision and our mission as we build Black health infrastructure in this province and across this country. Thank you so much for hearing me. Sister Donna, if you want to say something, that would be great. She's not online, okay. So I think now, are we able to get Mr. Liston online? And we will hear from our treasurer now. I'm gonna have a seat and he will talk to you and you have some papers in front of you. Pardon? Shut the mic off. Shut the mic off.
Oh. Yeah, like I'm gonna say, to recognize the work of, sorry, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just see a message from Lana, who just showed up. I guess speaking to the fact that maybe you should recognize the work you did in the city, around line of business.
Oh, the inquiry. Okay, yes. Indeed, Sister Lana, thank you very much. One of the things that we, oh, yes. I'm so loud, y'all heard me anyway. But yes, that is something that we did, and it was very important. We rose to the occasion again with the Lionel Desmond, I guess, what would the word, what's the word? Inquiry. And many moons ago, we said that we would be interested in talking about that. And of course, it just went very quiet. Nobody was doing anything. And then we got a call from one of the lawyers who said, would HAAC still be interested? And we said, yes. And on a dime, Sister Lana, Brother Robert Wright, and Cynthia Jordan and myself showed up. And we wrote a paper to describe what we thought was important in terms of services in the area of Glassboro, in the work that was done. And we were talking to the judge. I've never been so frightened in all my life. And we're like, it's like, well, Sheriff Davis, what do you have to say about that? Well, Judge. I mean, whoever, I relax, right? So it's like, well, Judge, this is how I feel. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But anyway, it worked. It worked. They heard us. And you might have heard Brother Robert Wright on the radio talking about it. So we put our stamp on that too. Thank you, Sister Lana. All right. I am now going to sit down and let Brother Liston talk to us about our finances. Okay, thank you. Turn the mic off. See, I told you I was old. Okay, folks. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you hearing me clear? Welcome again to HAAC's hybrid AGM. It's a pleasure sitting here and talking to you and going through the financials. As Sharon mentioned earlier on, since I have took over, I would say that I pretty much continued exactly what Donna and Colin they were doing before, but ensuring that I took something specifically from Donna in the sense that if we don't have it, we're not going to spend it. Sharon will come to me many occasions. She'll be like, listen, I want to do this. And I'm like, Sharon, do we have it? And we'll talk about it, right? But with that belief and that way, I believe that is some of the key components why today we can sit here and at this AGM and be in a comfortable position financially. It is that reason. And let me not use the word comfortable loosely, because when I use comfortable, I'm looking at where we're coming from and where we're at now. For me and for the board and the executive, we do believe that there is still a lot of room for growth when it comes down to financial support. And we are happy that we got the 1 year funding there from the government, which is splendid, right? So I'm just going to run through a few stuff, go through a quick highlight of what I noticed what we did for 2021, 2022 within our financials. So quick highlight, we did the Red Cross project. That one is over now. We now do the Spring Hill. We got some donations, and this is something that, with the charitable status, I do believe it's going to see that number increase. So just gonna speak quickly on a few persons that gave us donation. RBC gave us a quick token, which was really appreciated. Then we had a few donations from individuals, and a university donated some funds to us as well. So we are really grateful for that. Sharon made mention of the bursary grant that we did last year. Being that we are so impactful as a organization, we saw it utmost that we should be giving back to some of the younger talents that are coming out of our communities, right? So we said, okay, it may not be something that can pay your tuition, but it's contributing to your education, getting you a few books or so forth. So we started off, and with what happened last year with the death of our good colleague there, when Sharon and the team approached about naming this bursary in honor, it was something like, for me, it was like, yeah, you can go ahead. I don't even worry about that, right? It's really fantastic that we can honor her name because of the work that she had put in with HAAC, because she played a vital role in ensuring that we are where we're at today. Just quick question, do you have a copy of the financials that was sent out there? I mean, some persons online, you may not have that copy as yet. However, Carla will be sending that out to you so you can have it for post review. And if there's any question, feel free, reach out to us and I will be more than welcome to answer that, right? So I'm just going to do a quick overview of what is happening, where we're at financially, and then any questions that you have upon that, then we can discuss that. So we look at total revenue. When I did the comparison of last year's total revenue or last fiscal's total revenue versus this one, it's a little bit down, but that in of itself, I understand what is happening, and that is due to the fact that there are some projects that we would have started then, which would have ended, or we would have started over a good period, which ended between this year and last year. So we just had like the final lap of it of fund coming in, named like the Red Cross projects. And also we had other projects as well, right? But that's not anything that I'm worried about, because we still do have a healthy total revenue. When it comes on to our expenses, it was good. We still managed to maintain. One of the things that I look at, and as I expressed to the executive, yes, to the board and to the executive, is I'm coming up with creative ways in how we are going to ensure that we make our money work for us and also reduce costs. And when I speak about reduction of costs, I'm speaking like from being a banker myself. I know exactly what some of the ins or outs that you can save money from a financial standpoint being a banker. So one of that I've basically started thus far with HAAC is ensuring that the bank accounts that we have, we're not paying any fees on it. And that's what I've put in place. So we're ultimately saving a good change by not paying any fees. So if anybody wants a creative idea, I can share how to do that as well. But everything with that idea that I'm sharing, I will charge you a fee and I'll donate everything to HAAC, right? So yeah, so when we look at the total expenses there, everything looks good. So when you look at it from a net position, we have a surplus or a net income, as the accountant will refer to, of 21,299,02, which is fantastic, right? Based upon where we started and where we're at, it is fantastic. Within this total revenue, Sharon is fantastic at bargaining. If Sharon comes to you to negotiate any deal, just be sure that you'll be paying more than you really went into the deal wanting to pay, right? So when she approached the Department of Health and Wellness, we had various discussion about it, and Sharon went there and Sharon had discussion with them, and they decided, yes, what they will be doing is they will be giving us the 275, which we did receive for this fiscal year. However, they made a promise of giving us an early amount of $50,000, which they did make that possible to us. So that's what I mean when I say when you're having a conversation with Sharon, she will ensure that you pay a little bit more than you ought to be paying. And I don't believe I don't believe it's that we do deserve it and we deserve more. But time is the master, and we continue to put in the work that we're putting in within the community, and this is coming to fruition, right? We are seeing the contribution and everything. There is still a long way to go, because we want to ensure that the ED and Carla's full-time position, that we have not just a 1-year funding for it, but we have continuous funding. And that's something that Sharon and the team, we are working with the Department of Health and Wellness to ensure that is in place as well. So as we go forward, we may be calling on a few persons with expertise to kind of help us out to ensure that that is in place. And I ask that everyone, if you can come forth and help and assist, that we would greatly appreciate that. So that's a quick overview of our income, or our income statement. Then we're going to go into the balance sheet. So this, when you look at your balance sheet, we look at your total assets, your liability, and your total equity. Just for layman terms there, when I speak about the fact of your total assets, we are looking at what exactly do the HAAC have when you look at from a like you have in your bank account or anything, right? Current assets and all of that. At the ending of this fiscal year, our total assets was the 346, which is made up of, we have some good savings account there, which is about 35K. Our checking account was about $96,000. And at our then payroll account at that point was about $28,000. We have funds which we got earlier to support a project, which is the Sisterhood. And, as I said, with looking at creative way to ensure that we're making money, I sat down with the exec and also presented it to the board to say, whilst we wait to start or to get all of this funding start moving into the Sisterhood, let's make this money work for us. So if you look on that statement there, you'll recognize that you'll see some GIC purchase. So we are purchasing these GIC, making some interest from it, whilst ensuring that that money is secured. And for the 1 year, even though interest rate was so low, we amassed about $500 in interest from this money that we invested. So that's $500 that we have that we didn't have before, right? And we got our a credit card, because as you know, in today's world, as any organization, credit, having a visa to do certain transaction is pertinent. So that $10,000, whilst we can't touch it, in the event once we get that status that we're looking for, which is charitable status, we can revisit that and have access to that funding. So from our total asset standpoint, we're doing fantastic. Our total liabilities, if you go through the total liabilities, you will recognize that the payroll remittances, you'll see it in a negative. That's not anything to be too alarmed about. What had happened, we had an employee previously where something happened and the remittances weren't paid over, but we had them in an account waiting for the situation for the employees to be rectified. Once that was done, then we paid over that remittances to the CRA. So that has been paid over. So hence the reason why you're seeing it looking like that. But at the end of our fiscal year, when we looked at our retained earnings, that's every earnings that we had from the previous year, along with our current earnings, we ended the fiscal year with $346,226.97. That's a great position to be in, because I can recall when Donna said, listen, I remember having $1 in the account. So that's just my quick overview of what we have going on now from a financial standpoint. For all my members, and going back to ensuring that we get every dollar that we can get. For membership fees, I know Carla will be or have sent out an email to you. Within the email, it gives you the options to pay your membership fee via Stripe or e-transfer. we wanted to ensure, because when with everything originally started, we were using Stripe, but we want to ensure that person have different medium to make payments, but we also want to maximize on the payments that we're receiving. When you go through and you make your payments through Stripe, we do not get the full, for myself, I'll say $20. We do not get that full $20 because we have to pay something over to Stripe. So we end up get about $19 or $18 out of that. However, if you send that e-transfer directly to this email address that you see here, we get the full $20. So I am asking that person, if you can use an e-transfer method, it is favorable for us. However, we do understand if you wanted to make the payments off your credit card or so forth, but preferably I am advocating that we use the e-transfer at this moment to kind of do all of those payments. This is the time, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll be open to answering those questions for you.
Any questions? Any questions? We like the position we're in. Did you have
Oh, very much.
no? Okay. We love it, listen, we're happy.
All right. Thanks very much. And as I said, for everyone who's online, Carla will be sending that out. So if you, when you review it for yourself, if you have any question, feel free to send us an email, and I will ensure that that is answered. Okay.
There is one question.
I think I owe a couple $1,000. Is the e-transfer on the website? Is that address on the website?
Can you hear it? Did he hear that? No. Okay, can you answer that? No. It's not.
Can we put it on the website?
Yeah.
And then it would just be really easy without having to contact somebody and pay money.
Did he get that?
No, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It's there, listen, I'm just gonna leave it at that. We answered the question internally, and it's gonna be possible to do it. Thank you. All right, so we said thank you to Liston, and the next, I think the next presentation is with Dr. David, nominating committee. Okay. Excuse me.
Good evening, everybody. There's still some food over there. Anyway, good to be here. I am giving the governance and nominating committee report. Dr. David Hall. Dr. David, whatever. Because Donna is in Yarmouth and she's unable to get online. So there are three members of the GNC, as we call it right now. Donna, who is co-president and a member of the board. Eunice Alaga, who is a member of the board, and myself, I'm a member at large. So first of all, we need to thank those who are stepping away from the board at the end of this month. And Laurie Root, she's not here, but Laurie, we want to give thanks to Laurie for being on the board for all these many years. And also Donna herself, who's going to be stepping away from the board at the end of the month. So, maybe you have some special certificates there for that.
And we'll be sending them.
Yeah.
We're making sure they get those.
So we're going to miss them, but the good news is that we will have a full board coming up, 15 members, and there are 3 new members. They're joining the board at the end of June. I think they're all here, so I'm going to call the names because we want to welcome them, and if they don't mind standing, please, Archie, Neil, Dr. Yinka,
Is Chelsea here?
oh, no, okay, so Chelsea States is out in the third. She's not. The other news I want to tell you is that Rhonda Atwood is going to be co-president. I'm not going to read all the names, but if you want to know the names, we have them on our website, where you can call them and can send you a copy of the list. So basically, we have work that we're doing, and Sharon outlined all the work that's going on. If you feel an urge, you wake up in the middle of the night and say, I gotta do that with HAAC. You call Carl in the office or go on the website. There's a contact form there. Feel free to step up and step out, because we have work to do, and many hands make light work. Thank you very much.
I won't get myself.
And that's okay. Just call us the next day. Then I'll take it to where so we need now to move on to the second part, but before we do, I gotta get back up here and just say this. Before we move to the presentation part of this lovely AGM, hybrid AGM, we can be treated to yet one more song. Yes. It'll be a beautiful transition, and we loved it the first time. So, sister, please come on up. I don't know if I'm again for you or yes, okay. Uncle knows how to do it, so I'm gonna let him do it.
Can we bring her into the camera, because I was online,
You couldn't see it, Nina, okay.
Oh, you can't see what on the video.
Thank you, Sister Bernadette, appreciate it.
Thanks, Anita.
So the second song is Autumn Leaves. There's been many covers over the years, so they'll probably recognize them either way. The falling leaves sit by my window. The falling leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the summer names I used to since you went away. leaves start to fall.
Wow. That's terrific. Well, now, that was a really good idea. It's wonderful. Thank you all. All right, so we are transitioning now into the second part of our AGM, and we are delighted to have presentations tonight. Some riveting first-class presentations too. It gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce first one of our directors, Lisa Dennis, who will talk to you about something that is on the minds of all of us these days, and that is ACEs. I'm not going to tell you what that is. She's going to tell you what that is. But Lisa, thank you so much for sharing with us.
I like to run this. So thanks for inviting me. And first, I have a couple of questions. Whenever I talk, I like to involve people because I'm a teacher, so I can't help it. I like to get some audience feedback. So when I ask you a question, please respond. And that goes to you home too. All right, please put something in the chat and Carla can read it out for you. So the first question I have for you is, how many of you want to live a long and healthy life? Yeah, you sure on that? Okay, good. I'm aiming for 100. What's that? How many of you are living your most ideal life right now? Exactly. Right. So what are some barriers? What are some barriers that's getting in the way of you living your ideal life? Work. Oh, work. Too much work. Work. Okay. Maybe it's time to quit your day job, right? Family stressing out? Okay, I know. Okay, any other suggestions? Any other? Money. What? Money, yeah, money. Money's a big stressor for sure, yeah. Any more? What's that? Anti-black racism. Anti-black racism. Yes, racism is definitely stressful. It's actually a trauma. Yeah, it's a trauma. And so every black person in this room, we're traumatized. Whether you want to believe it or not, we experience trauma on a daily basis every time we walk out into white Canada. Okay? So, and that's something that we don't talk enough about as black people. And it's something we need to talk about daily, right? So do you think black people in general take good care of themselves? Are we taking good care of ourselves? No. What are we not doing? Exercise. We're not exercising. Okay, yeah. Okay. I do teach Zumba. So next time I come up here, I'll teach some Zumba. Right? Yeah, we need to exercise. What else are we not doing to take care of ourselves? We're not eating right. Not regular doctor. Yeah. Not going to the doctor enough. What's coming up online? What's coming up online? Capitalism? Capitalism, yes. We care for everyone else? Yes. Stress. Okay, yeah. So what are things we can do to take care of ourselves? Exercise. So I like to think about it in terms of the mind, body, soul, right? We are complex human beings. We've got our mind and our intellects. So things that we can do to nourish our mind would be what? Therapy. Yes, absolutely. Therapy. Meditation. Prayer. I would actually, that would be part of the soul, mind, body, soul. So soul first.
More community, like, involved our project.
Looking at our projects. Anybody else here drink water? Mine. Okay, so that's mine. So taking care of our mind would be also educating ourselves. You know, maybe I'm a lifelong learner. I'm working on my doctorate at Boston University, so I'm 51. Always learning. So working on our intellect, learning new things, so being having an open mind, learn our way is not always the only way, right? So mind. What about for our body? We talked about some already. Walking, sleep. Okay, I'm gonna get back to sleep in a moment later. Yeah. Yoga. Okay, good. And soul. What do we do for the soul? Pray, meditate, music, read the Bible. And you know, nature, going out in nature, right? Not everybody believes in Jesus. I'm a Christian, but you know, maybe you believe in Allah, maybe you believe in Buddha, you know. Maybe nature is your God. That's fine too. Having a higher power other than yourself. Okay. Television. Okay. Netflix. Okay. So I'm gonna play a couple of things. Tell me how you feel when you hear this. How does that make you feel when you hear that? Relax. I'm in your bed now, right? Makes you relax. Okay. Here's another one. One more. Brace yourself. Oh, all right, children, okay. Exactly. As Black people, you know, it's like a conditional response. You hear the cops, I just keep on playing now. I'm letting you take this off here. As Black people, it's a conditional response when we hear a siren, right? We think, where's my son? Where's my kid? Where's, am I in trouble? Am I gonna die today, right? Okay. So I just kind of put you through your nervous system here, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so your parasympathetic nervous system is the one that calms down your nervous system. So when you hear the ocean, you just calm down, your breathing probably change, your heart rate runs slower, your pupils constricted, right? Digestion happens when you're in parasympathetic nervous system. When I play the siren, on the other hand, I put you right away into the sympathetic nervous system. That's when fight flight, You hear the siren, I'm freezing, oh, I'm running, right? And heart goes faster. How other ways do we feel that in our body? Sweaty, yeah, sweaty palms. More shallow, definitely shallow breathing. Blood goes to the muscles to run, right? And this is a neurophysiological response. You can't tell your eyes, okay, dilate. You can't tell your belly, okay, digest, right? But you can control your breathing. Right, and by breathing, taking that deep breath in, belly breathing, when you inhale, you push your belly out, and when you exhale, you push it in, right from the bottom of the belly, it triggers that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. A deep breath puts you right into parasympathetic mode. Okay, so I'm talking about that because when we go into fight, we're in fight. We might be fighting with someone, yelling, hands in the fists, ready to, and when you're in fight mode, you're not paying attention. Like someone can talk to you and you're like, I don't know what we're talking about right now. I'm not paying attention because I'm in fight mode right now. Same thing if you're in flight, right? Maybe you're uncomfortable, you're anxious about standing in front of a crowd talking, right? Thankfully, my sympathetic nervous system is kicking in a little bit, right? Like fidgety, restless, feeling tense or trapped, right? And if you're in freeze mode, that might be, when the teacher asks you a question and you freeze, you're like, I don't know, or you give a presentation, you go blank, right? So that's freeze mode. So I'm gonna ask you 10 tough questions, okay? And you may be triggered. okay? Your body might go into sympathetic nervous system mode. But at the end of this, the punchline is that the good news is that you can overcome this situation, okay? And I'm talking about ACEs. ACEs, so it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah. So there's a study done in 1995, 97. 17,000 people were surveyed. So that's a big sample size, right? So you really get some good data from that, right? And they kind of followed them and found that, you know, if you experience childhood adverse experiences, so, you know, trauma, basically, at the end of the day, but we're talking about abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, sexual abuse, any neglect, physical, emotional neglect, or household dysfunction. So that could have been a mental illness, parent was mentally ill, it could have been a parent that was incarcerated, mother, some mom being beat up by dad or her partner, substance abuse, or even divorce, right? And the more you had of these, the higher your chance of health problems later on, okay? So we're talking about, you know, diabetes, big in our community, right? We're talking about smoking and alcoholism, also big in our community. I know a lot of alcoholics who say, I'm not an alcoholic, right? But yeah, they can't get through a day without alcohol. That's an alcoholic, right? Obesity, right? Suicide attempts, STIs, and stroke and COPD, okay? So we're gonna find out your ACE score, okay? So I'm gonna ask you those 10 tough questions. Okay, you don't have to share it with anybody, but you got 10 fingers? Yeah. Okay, but if you don't have 10 fingers, use your toes, then that's okay. Just start counting, okay? And like I said, trigger alert, if there's anybody, we have some health professionals here in the room or online. I know a lot of online. Yes, so, you know, put your hand up for a second, health professionals, and 40 you're a good listener, your clergy's good listeners, okay. So look around the room and say, whoever put their hand up, if you feel triggered, you need to talk to somebody, please do that tonight, okay? It's normal, you're gonna be fine, we'll get you through it. Okay, so question number 1. Did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? If the answer is yes, you give yourself 1 point. I didn't tell you some of these are there's double, 2 questions per question, that's okay. Number 2, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that you had marks and were injured? If the answer is yes, give yourself 1 point. Number 3, did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have you touch their body in a sexual way, or attempt to actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you? If your answer is yes, give yourself 1 point. Number 4, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or your family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, support each other? If your answer is yes, you give yourself 1 point. You still with me? You still doing okay? Okay. Or number 5, did you often or very often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, and had no one to protect you, or your parents were too drunk or too high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? If your answer is yes, give yourself 1 point. Number 6, were your parents ever separated or divorced? If yes, give yourself 1 point. Number 7, was your mother or stepmother often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her? Or sometimes, often, or very often kicked, beaten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard? Or ever repeatedly hit at least a few minutes or threatened with a gun or knife? If yes, give yourself 1 point. Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic, or used street drugs? Yes, give yourself 1 point. Number 9, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? If yes, give yourself another point. And lastly, did a household member go to prison? If yes, give yourself 1 point.
So add your points, right? I can tell you personally, I score 7. So I'm a walking, breathing person that's lived with childhood trauma. I did not have a good childhood. And it took me, I only heard about ACEs maybe 4 years ago. And it was like my world just opened up. It was triggering, but it was also empowering and freeing. Because now I actually had information but the thing is now it was about a lifelong journey of trying to heal myself from my trauma. Because I do have diabetes, okay? And I do have, mental health. I mean, I had depression, anxiety. Of course, we live in an unhealthy household. You're gonna have that, it's impossible. And I had a lot of coping survival mechanisms that were doing harm for me later on in my adult life that I had to fix, right? Therapy helped me. My faith in Jesus helped me, right? Because he also put good people in my life to be able to talk things through. I did other things, this is why I do what I do. I work in rehab, I work in brain rehab, and what I do is neurofeedback and other different interventions, and that healed my brain. So you're not stuck with the brain you have. You can actually get stronger. You can overcome this, okay? And so sleep. The other thing I want to mention is that if your body is always in sympathetic fight or flight mode, you're not sleeping well, chances are, right? Because you're in survival mode, especially if you're living in a household that's crazy and chaotic, you're never getting your deep sleep. How many of you actually dream at night? Okay, I didn't realize this, but I haven't dreamt in years. Okay, I didn't connect it. Okay, and then I actually went for a sleep study, and this is just like in January, February this year. Went for a sleep study and found out that I was not getting any REM sleep, 0. So I wasn't dreaming, and I can't remember the last time I dreamt before. And my heart rate was like 110 beats per minute while I'm sleeping, or 130, some craziness like that. Like I'm working out while I'm sleeping, right? And so no wonder I'm sweating. I'm thinking it's menopause, and that's another story I'll never But it was actually, I was working out in my sleep, okay, and I wasn't dreaming. And so I started, so I was diagnosed with mild sleep apnea, which by the way is not covered. Okay, so I had to actually get a CPAP. I got a CPAP machine. I did the test, tried it out for a month, and then I ended up getting one secondhand. And I'm dreaming. Okay. So, and I am trying with all my heart, like, to reverse this diabetes, because I know sleep is a part of it. Because if you're not sleeping well, your body's not repairing yourself. So I am on a quest. And already my blood sugar is lower. Okay, so I'm working on it. And I've been diagnosed with diabetes like about 6 years now, or maybe 7. So anyway, so I'm just saying I share this with myself because I want people to understand that you're not alone. If you have trauma and your score was high, so if your score was a 4 or more, you're 3 times likely getting lung disease. If it was, or 14 times the number of suicide attempts, or likely 4.5 times are likely to develop depression. That was what I get for. And if you had, and I had 6 or plus, which is me, you lose 20 years off your life. Okay, so I was aiming for 120. That's okay. So this is why acknowledging your trauma, okay, is important. Childhood trauma, racial trauma, it's all trauma, okay? PTSS, we talked about that before, and we can talk about that another day. So I just wanted to bring this up right now to just bring it up, bring it to the light, help you realize that this is an issue, but help you realize that you can overcome this, and we can do this together collectively as well, right? I'm in the process of trying to finish up my doctorate at Boston University. I have like maybe 1 semester left. I should be done by December. And starting in 2 weeks time, I'm starting a practicum for 2 months. And I've decided to devote that 2 months in practicum time to law. And this issue is important to me. So if you feel that you have trauma and you want some help,
come to me, or I have to leave actually soon to my son. I'm taking care of my son's mental health. He's got a baseball game that I've been trying to get him to go for months. So I gotta go. But come on, here. Subscribe the boys, we talk this morning, okay? And you give her your name, your number, your contact information, and we are gonna solve this problem together. Because it's time we take care of ourselves as Black people, and we cannot overcome racism if we're not well ourselves. Okay? This has to stop, it's not healthy. So let's do this. Okay? All right, thank you.
Oh, she's moved too fast, I wanted to give her a hug. Cause this helps too. Look at who we have. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. So important to hear and understand, and she's offering that she's a resource. Right here for any of us. So thank you. All right. So now, last but by no means least, we have the cream of the crop here to talk to you. The Black physicians of Nova Scotia who happen to be HAAC members will be talking to you and presenting about their work and how their work connects to our work, and I'm just so proud. So over to you.
Oh, my. He's back. Is this thing on? Yeah. All right. So I'm Dr. David again. I'm back. Would you believe somebody just mentioned anti-Black racism? Would you believe that Black physicians experience anti-Black racism? Come to us from our patients, from our peers, and from all different sides. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking to you about a group called the Black Physicians of Nova Scotia. Before we're speaking, myself, Dr. Yinka, Dr. Ron Milne is going to speak as well, and Dr. Henry Anand, who's going to be online. We're just going to give you a little snapshot of who we are, what we do, just so you know that we're here, and we're alive and well, and we're building, and we're working hand in hand with HAAC. As Sharon said, I'm a long-standing member of this organization. One time I was co-president as well, co-figure. And I'm now the co-chair of the Black Physicians of Nova Scotia. And so we have a strong connection with HAAC and the community. And again, we're going to talk a little bit, and we'll have some time at the end for some question and answer. So me personally, I did undergraduate training in medical school in Jamaica, came up to Dalhousie University for postgraduate training in internal medicine, and went all the way over to Manitoba to the University of Winnipeg to do infectious diseases. And then came back. I had to come back to Nova Scotia. There's something about this place. Anyway, came back and worked here since 1984. Fully retired in 2018 from clinical work. You know what I've been doing since then? Don't laugh. I've been sitting on my deck drinking coconut water and listening to reggae. You know, we have no idea how many Black physicians we have in Nova Scotia.
Okay, what is your first name?
That is true. Yeah, no idea. Nobody's been collected today.
Yes, I was just trying to
We
schedule for a
started
set. And so they asked me to call after 6.
Not really.
What is it that-
Physicians in HAAC There were a group of us, and we had things that we had to do under the umbrella of HAAC.
Okay, thank
And
you.
our first meeting in December 2020. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Omishore, because she was instrumental in helping us. There were 4 of us at that first meeting, 4. Next meeting in January, there were 9. Now we have over 50 physicians. So at least we know we have at least 50 black physicians, mixture of family physicians and specialists as well. So you know that's really nice, really nice. Yeah, I know, we're there right now. So we have our challenges. And when we got together, we had certain goals in mind. Our purpose really was we needed to support each other because there's some of us that are working in isolation, relative isolation from other Black people and other Black physicians. So we wanted to support each other. We wanted to be advocates for each other. Some physicians, I don't know how much you know about this, but some Black physicians have been having a difficult time with disciplinary hearings and whatever. So, you know, that's something that we need to pay attention to. But we also want to advocate for Black communities. And I wish we could provide a Black physician for every Black person in Nova Scotia. I wish. We do not have enough. No. And when you look at proportion, especially Black women as physicians, as family physicians, you know, the numbers are not there at all. We also mentor and intend to mentor our undergraduate and our postgraduate students because they're the way of the future. It's very important to make sure that we encourage our young people to get into health professions, medicine, and that when they come out, we employ them and keep them. That is another challenge that we have here. They talk, I don't know if you heard the news today about, you know, they're talking that they're recruiting more physicians, more family physicians in Nova Scotia than ever. But you listen and goes along and said, we also lost quite a few in that first period of time. So, you know, we just wanted you to know about us and the fact that we're here. And, you know, we encourage you really, if you need to get hold of us for whatever reason, we do what we can to help. Call Carla. Not a sure. Yeah, you have an email address. And you can go through the website. So, we've now become a section of Black physicians of Doctors Nova Scotia. Now, Doctors Nova Scotia is the association that supports and represents all physicians in Nova Scotia. So we're now a section of Black physicians. Okay. So we're a formal station. Other things I want to tell you. One of our group is president-elect of Doctors Nova Scotia. So Dr. Colin O'Day. Next June, he will become the president. He's following in the footsteps of his dad, Dr. Vincent O'Day, who was the president of DNS in 1988. So, you know, more power to us. So anyway, I'm going to give over now, ask Dr. Akindeko to come forward and speak. And then we'll get Henry online, and then Dr. Ron will follow up, and then we can talk if you want to talk. Thanks so much.
Such an honor to be here. Like, what else do I need to say? All the speakers have said it all. But I thought I would give my perspective as one of the few Black female physicians in Nova Scotia. So my name is Dr. Yinka Kideko, and I was born in Nigeria, went to medical school in Nigeria, and moved to England for postgraduate studies, did my family medicine training in England, and then at some point, a friend of mine, who's now in Nova Scotia, said, Canadians are looking for people to come. You should go see. Like, oh, I have no interest in having it's way too cold for me. I just can't. I just said, oh, just go, okay, go for me and let me know what they're talking about. So she was working, she sent me the details. I went, it was in a hotel in central London, and I was looking for the rooms. It was one of these hotels with little seminar rooms everywhere. So I was peeping into different rooms looking, and there was a picture in this room, and there was a picture of an apartment, so a condo overlooking the ocean. Like, oh, that's a really nice view. She looked at me like, it seems a nice view for you. I said, no, I'm a doctor looking for Canadian visit. She said, that's us. Does that exist? I said, can poor people afford the view of the ocean? And she said, yeah, everyone can afford the view of the ocean in Nova Scotia. Like, you're lying. The people want you. And that was it. It was a picture of Nova Scotia as I sold it to them. I traveled across many continents for a view. I'm still chasing it. So we moved in September 2019. We got to Nova Scotia on a Thursday with me and my 2 boys and my husband. And on Saturday, Hurricane Dorian hit. Oh. I had never been in a hurricane. I'd seen it on TV. Someone actually called me and said, there's going to be a hurricane on Saturday. I was like, oh, wow, oh, so such interesting detail. No water, no food. And my 11-year-old now still says, I am as hungry as I was during hurricane. But then, you know, when we moved here, then you walked the streets and you didn't see many people that looked like you. So the loneliness hit really quickly, the fear hit really quickly. And then, as every doctor would do, believe it or not, you would go look on the college site and see what the complaints were about. If they were complaining about people that look like you and what actions the college would take. Because this is not only your source of income, it's many times your identity. You go into medical school at age 18, maybe so in Nigeria, in Canada, even maybe you try for so many years. So it's been all of your life. And the fear of someone taking that away from you is so gripping, right? Many doctors commit suicide, it's just by complaints. So when you complain to the college, they haven't been found guilty, they commit suicide because they're so afraid. This is their identity. All they've ever done was wanting to help people. That's all they said at their interview. That's all they said when they were 9 years old. And then this is taken away from them, and you don't know what you want, what you are. And so that loneliness hit quite quickly. The fear was there as well, because if you do go on the college side, most of the names are names of ethnic minorities, and the result, the rulings are not very pleasant. So that was scary. I was lucky in that I had a group of friends. The one friend I told you about that told me to go for that talk, and a few others that had come before me, and they quickly formed a community around me and was able to reassure me and encourage me to stay. This is not the story for everyone, as now I know of 2 Black doctors that are going back to the UK because they haven't felt supported, they haven't felt welcomed, they haven't seen many people that look like them on the streets. And this is another thing that I think HAAC would be great to take on board, as that the Black physicians are part of HAAC. This is part of the health initiative. We look after the community and we look after our healthcare workers as well. We don't want to lose them. We don't want them to go back. What can we do to make them know that there is a community out there for you? Immediately you land. This is a hurricane. This is what a mortgage looks like. This is how you get a house. Come, let's have dinner. Things like that that would make people feel welcome, make people want to stay. So on the day I was leaving work, and Dr. Murdoch, some of you might know, he's a surgeon who works in my office, Actually, a story about Dr. Murdoch. When I came to Nova Scotia to choose a place to work in, I went to so many different communities, went to Truro, New Glasgow, Halifax, so many places. When we got to my office, Dr. Murdoch was there, and he was in a meeting talking to me about why I should work in that place. And because I saw a Black man, I thought this would be a good place for me, because if I've got questions, where do I buy plantain? Life-changing questions. So I chose that place because Dr. Murdoch was there, and he held my hand and helped me through. So this day I was going home and said, "Oh, Yinka, there's a Black physician from Nova Scotia meeting tonight." So what, that exists? Leave it to me. And I messaged all the people I know, and I'm sure that was probably the first most, meeting with lots of people. Said, we need to support this, we need to make this happen because we have to support each other. And we sort of can see the changes, because one of the meetings we had with the college was about complaints and managing complaints and the fear we have with that. So one of the things I'd like to leave you with is that our community needs to protect Black doctors. We're vanishing minority. We're scared. We want to do the work because we know of the inequality, we know of the injustice, we know all the studies. We know that when Black doctors look after Black patients, they get better outcomes. We know that women are the best doctors. So evidence-based medicine is published. So we want the word out there that you need to, as we look after the community also needs to look after us. Black patients are more likely to complain about Black doctors than they are to complain about white doctors. And that is sad. That's like a subconscious bias that this is better than this. So I'll leave on that. Thank you.
John Murdoch. John says, "Thank you, Dr. Murdoch." He's a money with you. Dr. David, are you going to announce Dr. Anand?
I wasn't, he was going to introduce himself.
Okay.
Did you turn the mic off?
It's off, yes. Andrew?
Hello? Okay. I didn't know if there was, hi everyone. I can't see everyone, but I hear lots of voices in the room. And so good evening and hello. It's nice to see and hear your voices. My name is Henry Annan. I'm a third-year pediatrics resident I live at the IWK. So when I'm not at home, you can find me at the IWK. And I'm almost done my third year of pediatrics residency and going into fourth year next year. Not too long ago, I was also had the distinct honor and pleasure of serving on the board of HAAC, and it was a very exciting time, and it's so nice to be back and just follow the great work that this organization has been doing for our community. So this is super exciting. Sorry, I don't know if people are talking. I can't hear. Is anyone saying anything that I need to? I'm okay. Okay, good. Okay. There's a little bit of echo in the background, but otherwise, I'm just kind of gonna keep going until someone tells me to stop. But no, it's exciting to also come talk about sort of my experience as being a member of the Black Physicians in Nova Scotia. But before I get into that, just a little bit more about myself. I also went to Dalhousie Medical School. My parents are from Ghana, so I don't know, Dr. Haas, if it was strategic to put a Ghanaian after a Nigerian or what, but anyways, we won't get too much into that. But yeah, I went to Dalhousie and then stayed here for residency as well. And I've been quite involved in sort of medical education and other an interest in sort of global health and supporting plans as a mentor in various capacities as well, which I have always found is super rewarding work. I wanted to comment a little bit on the theme here about representation, because I think it's so important. I'm not that old, but I'm not that young either. And I remember, I'm old enough to remember when I started in medical school, there was, I think, 6 of us of African Canadian descent. And I think that was maybe one of the largest classes of Black medical students at the time. And it was such a great community. And that was in 2014. And right now, I know that there are 13 Black medical students at Dalhousie right now, 12 in Halifax and one in New Brunswick. So it's nice to see the progress and the work, the fruits of the labor that has been done by organizations like HAAC, by individuals like Dr. Haas and so many others in our community. And I think it's always nice for us to be able to look back and look forward and say, okay, this is positive, this is some good news, these are things that are worth celebrating. And I think that always is the motivation for us to keep going, recognizing that there's still lots and lots of work to be done. Even beyond medical school, even residency, when I started at the IWK in 2018, there were 2 Black MDs in the children's side. I don't know about the women's side, but in the children's side, one of them was me, and the other person was a pediatric radiologist. And you know, as a radiologist, usually they're behind the screen, they're not even interacting much with patients. And now 4 years later, you know, now there's another pediatric resident of African descent, Deji, who isn't able to join us today. And I believe there's a new pediatrician that's being hired in the emergency department who's also of African descent. So again, looking at our community grow in that way and being represented in spaces that historically we haven't been is looking and acknowledging those pieces of progress is always inspiring and the motivation to keep going. And I think it's stuff that's worth celebrating for sure. And one of the things that I always say, and I always remind individuals and the different organizations that I serve in, those different spaces that I speak at, is the importance, yes, of increasing diversity, which is so important. But I think the other work is making sure that those spaces that historically weren't created for us are safe. There's an article that came out just a few days ago talking about how Black medical residents in the United States are leaving residency at higher rates than their Caucasian counterparts. And a lot of that has to do with, as you know, anti-Black racism. We don't have that kind of hard data here in Canada, but I do know there are different organizations working on that. And it very well may be similar. And so I think part of the advocacy and the work of organizations like HAAC, like Black Physicians of Nova Scotia, Black Physicians Canada, is again, just as we increase that diversity, making sure that we are addressing some of those systemic barriers or systemic issues that prevent Black medical students, Black residents, Black physicians from I know I'm doing some work with the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada to include anti-Black racism accreditation standards into residency programs, make a huge difference. But there's certainly lots of work to do, but it's work that I say is always worth doing. And it's through the support that we give each other and being able to lean on each other that we find the strength to keep going. So again, my apologies for not being able to attend in person, but it's a real joy to be able to attend at least virtually. Thank you.
All right.
Your time.
Come take us out.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I guess I couldn't come anyway because I'm a member.
Yes. Absolutely.
My name's Ron Mill, known as Dr. Ron. That's actually my hip hop name. I'm an aspiring jazz guitarist, but I can't play and sing like that. It's amazing. Anyway, I was born and raised in Halifax. Attended Dow Med School, and some of you might look at me and think, well, he looks pretty old. You know, David Hawes was my senior. Anyway, after I finished Dow Med School, I went to Queens, did a family medicine residency there in Kingston, and the racism capital of the world. One of them anyway. I guess it's a little better now. And I did family practice in Peterborough for about 30 years, Peterborough, Ontario. So I always dreamed of coming back to Nova Scotia, especially following in the footsteps of my grandfather, who was one of the first Black physicians to graduate from that. So I came back about 11 years ago, started practicing in Dartmouth and at the Dartmouth General and also family practice. And Colin Campbell came to one of our Dartmouth physicians meetings and said, oh, we got this new program starting called Nova Scotia Brotherhood, and we need a physician, you know, to work in that program. So I jumped all over that. And so we started 7 years ago, 3 employees, no patients. And, you know, it's grown so much from there now, I need notes to tell you what we're doing. But also, as David knows, the memory gets a little foggy. You need cues. Anyway, so the Brotherhood started thanks to HAAC and Sharon and others who realized the need. So now we've grown, we have 5 locations, North and East Preston, Hammond's Plains, North Dartmouth, and we're at Mumford Road right now. We're in we have Wednesday, full clinics every Wednesday. It's, you know, patients, lots of patients coming, which is great. So we have a team, myself as a physician, our wonderful navigator, Elizabeth. Wade Woodward is our community liaison, and our manager, Devon Bundy, who's not here tonight. Yeah. And Devon replaced Mario Roy, who's working corrections for a year, and will be probably coming back with us.
Mario's our board member. He's on.
Yeah, is he there? Hey, bro.
He was.
I'm just talking to you a little bit. So, what do we do at Brotherhood? Well, Elizabeth will tell you damn near everything. I don't deliver babies anymore. I don't work in the ER anymore. And I unfortunately don't do pediatrics anymore, but we do everything else. So we, as I said, we have our clinics on Wednesdays. So we do the routine family practice care, you know, diabetes, hypertension, heart problems, lung disease, blah, 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 all that stuff. But on top of that, we do a lot of advocacy. So in the justice system, a lot more work now with employers, businesses, racism, and insurance. People that are having to leave their job or have issues with their job because of racism or other problems. That's really becoming a big thing. I mean, I'm doing so many letters now every month about problems people are experiencing. So we're really quite involved in the mental health system as well. Elizabeth spends a lot of her time at the Abbey Lane advocating for patients there. They call us constantly. Typical story, we have a young Black man who's, you know, in the hospital, and we need somebody to work with him and try and, you know, deal with his issues and try and help him. And a lot of times they don't know what to do. They're literally afraid of some of our patients.
Yeah.
You know, which is really crazy, but that's the truth. So Elizabeth does a lot of good work there. So we formed a good bond with the psychiatrists there, and they know us, they call us, you know, we come and help. And then also when the patients get out of hospital, a lot of times they don't have a family doctor, so they come to us, and you know, we try to work with them and continue. So very big advocacy in the mental health system. Also, Elizabeth does a lot of work in the justice system in the wellness court, which used to be called the mental health court, and also the domestic violence court. So she also, along with Wayne Winter, our community liaison, they run an anger management program, which has been very successful. We get a lot of cases referred to us from the courts through that. I saw you today that. Also, Mario and I particularly have done a lot of work with the institutions of Dorchester, Spring Hill, you know, all of our institutions where a lot of our Black men are incarcerated, unfortunately, and a lot of them don't have their problems addressed, they feel. So we've tried to do as much advocacy and run sort of, I guess you would call them group clinics on, you know, online. So that's an important part too. And then when these men get out of prison, a lot of times they have no supports. They get out, they have nothing. There's nothing there for their mental health. They don't have a doctor. Sometimes they have family, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're not from here. They came from another community or another province and end up here. So they have very little supports. So that's a big part of what we do. We try to work with Lionel to that up as well. Do a lot of advocacy for as a member of that for a minute also. Also we've had some very successful men's health conferences. We've had 3 now. The last one, which was about post-traumatic slave syndrome, we had something like 1,100 people online. And so that was big. And Juan and Mario and Dwayne are planning another one for November, so there'll be more coming up about that soon. But that one's going to be in person this month, so yeah, we're hoping with Penny. And that's another thing I would say, that since the pandemic, the mental health problems in our communities have just skyrocketed. Unbelievable number of people with issues, because a lot of it is rooted in the social determinants of health. It all goes back to that. So if you don't have an education, you don't have a steady job, you don't have an income, you don't have secure housing, you don't have secure food source, all of those things combine into your mental health and your overall health. And also, I'm sorry that Lisa left, because she's fantastic. I love Lisa. The first time I saw Lisa, she was here speaking.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm always on the lookout for talent. I always want people that we can work with. I said, we've got to have her. So we brought her in, and with our barbershop clinics, I'll talk about in a minute, she has done a lot of them for us. Lisa's fantastic. But anyway, the ACE is a big part of what we deal with as well. Very, very important. And a lot of times people are walking around with all of this trauma inside. That's never been addressed. That's why, because they don't feel comfortable talking to whoever their provider, psychiatrist, counselor, whatever. So that's going to be part of what we've done. The Men's Health League also, which is a group of Black men interested in health, and they're the ones that are putting on the Men's Health Conference. And Dwayne is at another meeting tonight, so he couldn't come, but we'll be doing that. Our barbershops. So Mario and I got this idea. I heard something, I think it was on CBC, about the barbershop clinics in the southern US. And I just thought, man, what a great concept. You know, all these brothers who love to come get their haircut, talk about women, sports, you know. I said, well, okay, we can talk about that, but we'll talk about other stuff. So the other stuff took over, and that's what we're talking about. About trauma, about racism, about mental health, you know, everything, spirituality. And so Lisa has been really instrumental in that, coming and talking about racism and mental health, and she's done a great job. So we have those every month, move around to different communities. I think I'm doing one down this place next month. The anger management that I mentioned. One of the other biggest things that I'm so proud of and so happy we've got is a transcultural psychiatry clinic. So when Dr. Ajapong came, Dr. Ajapong is from Ghana. Of course, all the smart people are from Ghana, right? Anyway, he's done a lot of work in transcultural psychiatry and doing mental health checkups via phone, you know, cell phone, whatnot, that technology that I don't even understand. But anyway, so we got together, a group of us, and decided we needed this type of a clinic. So now we have psychiatry access. Every 2 weeks we have a psychiatrist, which is unheard of anywhere in the healthcare system. 2 of them are Black, and also one South Asian and one other, and they're all fantastic. And they really serve our men very well. Also, the Indigenous community with Dr. Frank Young is part of that program, and the newcomers, refugees as well as immigrants is part of it as well under Dr. Name now. Anyway, they have that. Yeah. Also, we've done podcasts, so we have a group of younger guys who are interested in the technology side. So they started a podcast called My Melanin, and it's great. And they talk about a lot of different areas, a lot to do with health, but not everything. And the community talks that we started, that Dwayne has been running. Last year we wanted to do one that was more broad reaching. So we honored in Black History Month, I think that was this year, February. So we honored people, African Nova Scotians, as well as African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants, and it was very well received. So we want to keep that up, the unity, and bringing all the communities together. And in fact, we're going to have part of that conference we do in November. We're going to have a big unity event with a social event too. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. Well, the last thing I will say is we worked very hard to get a sisterhood, and we lobbied and lobbied and lobbied. Sharon, I'm sure bugged every politician it's only Sharon can do. And we worked at it also. Dr. Ingrid Waldron, who's another Trinidadian, who unfortunately was moved on, but she did a lot of the research that documents, because that's the first thing the government tells you when you come to, well, you need this, it's lacking in healthcare. Well, where's the data? Show us the data, you know? You don't show us statistics that it doesn't exist, right? So, and a lot of these things are hard to prove. Why? Because we don't have race-based health data, but we're gonna get it, right? That's what I hear. So, and I wish we had that about COVID, but anyway, that ship has sailed, I think. Now, next pandemic will have. So, but yeah, the sisterhood is very exciting, and you know we're looking forward to launching that. I hope in the fall, and yeah, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. It's very important. I'm just going to take the liberty.
Yeah.
I would like you to tell us a little bit about Dr. Wardell.
Oh,
It's very important. Take a few minutes just to give us this history, because y'all should know that.
Yeah. So.
Well, I just.
Thanks, Sharon. So my grandfather, Alfred Waddell, he was born in Trinidad in 1897. And he was a very good cricket player, very good chess player, also very smart. He studied, as people did then, the classics and Latin and Greek and all this stuff at a well-known school in Trinidad. And then he and my grandmother came to Harlem in the early 1920s. He worked nights and went to school in the daytime at Columbia University, got his degree. My grandmother worked as a seamstress in Harlem, and they raised 4 kids. He came to Halifax in 1928. He got accepted into Dow Medical School, and he really faced a lot of obstacles, a lot of racism. The local community, Black community, weren't that crazy about him. He was light-skinned and he was from the Caribbean, so he was an outsider. Waddell is not a local name, so he faced some problems that way. But of course, the anti-Black racism was the main thing that he faced. Couldn't find a place to stay. Fortunately, there was another Trinidad family that took him in, and he stayed there. He went through medical school, did very well. He had some incidents that happened in medical school, but the worst thing, there was a rumor that they weren't going to let him intern. Why? Because they didn't want him to stay in Halifax. Why? Because they didn't want him to examine white women. And I know that's true because my grandmother told me that before she died. So his class, and he was the only person of color in his class. They decided that they would not intern any of them if he wasn't allowed to have an internship. So the university relented. They gave him an internship at the infectious disease hospital, which was not a prime job, let's face it. That wouldn't be as probably full of people with TB and venereal diseases of all kinds, which they had in those days. But anyway, he did that, and then he set up his practice first, and the family lived in the building which is now the Black Educators on Cornwallis and Garden. Yeah, that was his first office. Then he moved down to Brunswick Street. I think that building is still there. I'm not sure. My mother knows. My mother's 96 now, but she still lives in her own home, and you know, she's still very smart. So she remembers a lot of these things. But anyway, he did amazing things in his career. He only practiced for 20 years. He died prematurely at 56. He had a stroke, had a cerebral hemorrhage while he was in the office, and came home and died. He serves all of the Black communities, and he had a lot of white patients as well. His first patients were the Chinese, believe it or not. There was a there used to be a Chinese restaurant on Wallace next to where that building is. So he used to go there and eat lunch. Because they would give him lunch for free sometimes. And he worked in all the communities. A lot of times he didn't get paid. They'd give him chickens, eggs, whatever. That was his payment. He never owned a car. Well, for a long time he didn't. He got one eventually, but his patients would lend him their cars. And there's a video made about him by Vision TV. My aunt talks in that. My aunt passed away. About how they used to go out to Hannah's Plains, Beachville, Africville, Preston, they come out here, and no bridge in those days, so you know you got to go all the way around. So yeah, he was amazing. He did, you know, deliver babies at home, did everything. In fact, when I had my practice in the North End, a lady came in and brought me her birth certificate. He had delivered her at home in 1940 something, so I still have that at home. So he did a lot of that, but the main thing he did was advocacy, and you know it's amazing. Somebody who's facing all of those obstacles and racism himself, but he was really a fighter. You know, like I look up there and I see 1945 Nova Scotia Association for Colored People, but he was back in 1933 when he started. So before any of that was there was him and Carrie Best and Dr. White and a number of other people who were just fighting and advocating for conditions. One of the major things he did was help Viola Desmond. Not everybody knows this, but he was her physician. So after she got out of prison, she came to see him. She was beaten up. She had injured her hip, which I guess stayed with her the rest of her life. She had other injuries. He treated her injuries, but he said, no, we can't allow this to stand. So he helped her, wrote letters to the federal government, the provincial government. I still have copies of the letters at home that he did to try and get her unfair conviction overturned, which they finally did, but 50 years later or whatever it was, in the 60s. Anyway, he did that. I see a picture of Portia White. He was a friend of Portia White's. I have a book at home with an inscription from Portia White to him. The other thing he did that was quite impressive, there were two black newspapers in Nova Scotia, the Clarion and the Negro Citizen. Yeah, so the Clarion, he was the president, and the Negro Citizen is the president of that. He wrote articles to the editor. He donated money, and he also, which I didn't know, I got a copy of the Clarion that says that he actually convinced them to incorporate and become a corporation so that they could survive financially, and that's what allowed them to continue on from the 40s until maybe 19, I can't remember when they stopped, in the 60s maybe. So he was really involved in that. He wrote very well. He used to write a lot of articles to the editor. One that happened, I had two uncles. One of them was lighter skinned than the other one. There was a learn to swim program at the Commons where the swimming pool is now. Yeah. And they wouldn't let my darker skinned uncle swim with the white kids. He had to come back tomorrow. So my grandmother was furious, and my grandfather also wrote letters, and then this pompous letter comes up from the city council saying the pool is open to everyone. We don't discriminate. So they got that overturned. So I mean, he did a tremendous amount of that. It hasn't really been recognized today. Sure. I'm going to say if there's anybody who's on the board here, or there used to be a plaque right in that room with his name and his story. They took it down. Why? Where is it? Yeah, it was a long time ago. Maybe in the 90s, I used to come home from Ontario, and I go, look, and one day I came and I said, where's Dr. Waddell's plaque. What? Okay. And they said, well, who's he? I'm like, oh, that's the way you do it.
We know who he is.
Yeah, so I mean, people need to know that. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's.
Thank you, everybody. I know it's a little bit late, but you understand that was important.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you that we are working on something with Dow. We believe that we need to see Dr. Waddell recognized. And, we know we're relentless. All right, let's say.
We're following your lead.
Well, thank you, Dr. David. See, we got Black musicians, we've got students, we've got community leaders. We are here together. HAAC is strong, and it's strong because of every one of us who are belonging and part of it. And I thank you so much here to all our brothers and sisters online. Hybrid's got to be the way it is. Okay, we had some problems. We overcame. All right. So thank you for being here. For those of you who made your trek all the way out here in person, you know you gotta take some cake and some dinner home. Because when you're home, you gotta take home the leftovers. That's how we do it. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all online.
Yeah.